Welcome. We are live. Some of you may think I look different. Yes, my wife gave me a haircut the other day. She trimmed my beard. Really good. She doesn't like really a long beard. I kind of do. My face, but I like to give her what she wants. Today is the 27th of February 2024. I'm Mark, your host, coming to you from Baker's Green Acres in lovely Marion, Michigan. And this is the annual thing on my connection. Let me know if you can see me all right. Let me know if the audio is coming through. All right. The tonight's show is about preparing for spring and getting back to basics. And I can tell you that this is something that's first and foremost in my mind because it was 60 degrees here today. Okay, Lenny, thank you. 60 degrees in February. And I was out doing things that I normally do in end of March. Right? So I guess global warming is bad now, right? All right, Keith's with us. How you doing, Keith? But I had a really good day, and I got to really enjoy this place because sometimes in January, February, there's not all that much enjoyment outside. You know, everything's kind of brown and covered with snow, and it's usually pretty cold. I'm not saying it's not enjoyable, but it's nothing like when you have the sun hitting you, you're warm, you can work in just, shirt sleeves. And I must admit, a couple times today, I stopped and I just sat and I just took it in. And I thought, there's so much good that's happening, and spring is coming, and I just feel like it's always darkest before the dawn. There's all kinds of information out there that just doesn't seem too good. And, we were able to get together and still talk about homesteading. None of the things that I hear about have really affected me and my farm. I have a couple sons that are in the military, and I really shudder at the thought of another senseless war. So that kind of bothers me a little bit. But for me and mine right here, we've done okay. We've been able to just press on with our work, and there's a lot of good that's come of it. I want to talk about our sponsors for the show tonight. They don't know that they're sponsoring the show, but I did business with them last week. I did business with one of them last week and business with another one of them last night. First one is Homestead Provisions. It's Parker Holmes, and he runs a really nice sawmill operation over in Leroy, Michigan, which is 45 minutes from me, something like that, maybe a little further. A real nice ride over there, and anytime I tell him that I need something, it's usually a day or two, and he says your order is ready. And so this time, took my lovely wife with me. We put the trailer on and scooted over there. I needed some 2x4s for the floor in the store that we're building, and he does a really nice job. Really nice job. Bands it all up, lifts it on my trailer for me, and all I have to do is strap it down and go. Very reasonable, very fun. You get to see his homestead. He's really knocking it out. He built a nice pole barn and a lean-to on one side that they put an apartment in. And I tell you what, it's so nice because you can step through the apartment into the pole barn, which is finished off, nice concrete floor, insulated, ceiling. Nice, just real nice. Plenty of room. You can keep all his stuff in there. Covey's with us. Right on. How you doing, lad? So I got to go over there, and I want to give a shout out to Homestead Provisions. If you need rough cut lumber, and I'm telling you, you need rough cut lumber. You need a lot of it just hanging around your place. So when you get inspired to build something, it's there. Whether you want to build picnic tables, or you want to build a chicken coop, or put a building up, anything, rough cut is the way to go. It's far more inexpensive, and we're doing business with somebody that's in the tribe, which I think we should make a point of doing that. And for me to give a shout out to him, I know it's going to be a bump in his business. And you know why I want to do that? Because I want him there. I want him there for the rest of the time that I'm running this operation. And when I need wood, Parker, I need, and then in a couple days, sometimes he even says, hey, I'm in your neck of the woods. I'll just drop it off. He's done that a lot of times, really nice guy, really nice guy. And he has learned a lot of things that he can pass on. So that's Homestead Provisions. And I have his phone number. I wonder if that's proper to give that out on here. Maybe not. Contact me and I'll give it to you. Contact me and I'll give it to you. Or you can just go online and look in Homestead Provisions, right? Nice name. The other situation that happened, I want to give a shout out to Spears Automotive. Here's what happened. My daughter last night was over in Cadillac, coming from one of our aunts, our elderly aunts that she checks on once a week and does light housekeeping and things like that. And when she was leaving, her car died. And it's not an old car. It's it's probably 10 years old. It's a Chevrolet Cruze. It's in fairly nice shape, I guess, And it died in the middle of the road. She didn't call me. She called John. John Spears. So John Spears, if you don't know, he has an auto repair shop with a used car lot attached to it. And recently he went from like one tow truck to like 5. So it's, for me, I think for everybody, we drive cars. We got to get around with cars. And if you have a car problem nowadays, what do? Right? It's nice to have a guy that you can call. He knows you because you bring your car there to get it fixed now and again, hopefully. And he's got a towing service. So it's sort of like having AAA. And I don't think there's any distance that he won't go. Of course, it costs. If you're in Florida and you have a problem, it's probably not going to be that economical. But I'm sure him and his wife wouldn't mind taking a little trip down to Florida in the tow truck just to get your vehicle. But then be a tight ride on the way back home, wouldn't it, John? Yeah. But that was real nice. I found out about it last night when we were going to bed. That, oh, did I tell you? Rachel's car died on her. I said, well, what happened? She called John. Died in the middle of the road. John came, pulled it up on the flatbed, I suppose. I wasn't there, and took it to the shop. He called me this morning. He says, it's this, this, and this. I said, okay. He says, I prefer to be paid in beef if you don't mind. No problem, John. No problem. I think this should illustrate to you the importance of a network, the tribe. If we can do business amongst each other, we have it behooves us to do a good job. You do something for somebody, and then you get a shout out on a massive channel like this, this huge audience that we have. It will help. Hopefully other people will say, hey, you know what? I'm going to use that guy too. I'm going to use his services too. Even if you have somebody, like a big name place, a corporate, massive corporate entity that you're doing business with, it's much better to do business locally. All right. So that's that. Homestead Provisions, Spears Automotive. Spears Automotive is easy to find. You just Google it. Spears Automotive, Cadillac, Michigan. And he's expanded up to Kalkaska too, his towing service up there. So they've got people up there that can help you. All right. It gives you a real edge, because you buy a brand new car, let's say, and you buy that brand new car thinking that I don't want to have any problems. But when you do have problems, you have to go back to the person that sold you the car, the dealership. And then there's just a whole bunch of bureaucracy involved in that. And, well, I got a warranty. Warranty work is not all it's cracked up to be. It really isn't. It's a lot of times it can be way more cumbersome. In this case, Rachel's car had a thermostat that was malfunctioning, and some sensor shut the engine down. So he just read the code and it told him exactly what to do. He did it, and now it's fixed. So I sleep better knowing that John is out there, and his crew. He's got a crew that works with him too. And I know some of them, and they seem to be pretty good guys. We actually, the bread truck came here, and the guy put it in the ditch. And I thought we were going to need a big truck to pull it out. And John's got a pretty good size one. And he brought it that day and pulled it out. And, it's in his best interest too that I called him, because then he built the company that owns the bread truck. So, everybody made out okay on somebody's kind of mistake. Okay. I want to talk about a lot of things tonight, but I think the majority of what we need to talk about is planning springtime. Spring is coming. And there was a time when I made plans based on the stuff that I want to do. And I suppose that's still there in my mind. What really motivates me, what inspires me of what I'm doing. But the longer this has gone on and the more wisdom I've gained, I look at what is going to give me the best bang for my buck. What's going to get me where I want to go in a more timely manner, more seamlessly. So I'm thinking a little bit further, than I used to. And today was just one of those days. I had to milk this morning. It was me and Frank's day to milk. And you ever have one of those days where all of a sudden you just think of something and it's like, whoa, that could change everything. So we're milking. I'll share a little bit of it with you because I'm not sure exactly that it's going to happen the way I say it's going to happen, but we milk. We have 5 milk cows. 4 of them are milking right now. I'm waiting on a calf from Dawn, if you're wondering which one it is, Cubby. And so I'm getting a lot of milk, and we don't have enough people locally to buy the milk. So our customer base hasn't grown at the same rate that our milk production has grown. And our milk production, I mean, that's not a problem. I've got 2 more calves coming online that in no time, we're going to be getting them fixed up so that they can have a calf, and then we'll have 2 more cows online. So that's not a problem. Milk production's not a problem. We worked through that last summer when we built out the new milk parlor, getting a group of 5 in there at a time. Boom, no problem. Shove them out, put 5 more in, no problem. We can milk 10 cows. And we are building out the milk house. So the milk parlor is where the cows actually go to get milked. The milk house is adjacent to the milk parlor, and that's where the people go. And it's separate. It's separated by the wall, has concrete floor with drains in it. Not there yet. And it's heated in the wintertime. Not there yet as well. We'll be heating it to about 40 degrees, just so the water stays open and it's pleasant. The equipment stays warm, like the compressor stays warm and the milk equipment stays warm, because it works better when it's warm. When it's 10 degrees out and that equipment is 10 degrees, it doesn't always work because the seals get hard and it just doesn't work the way it. And imagine being a cow and having a 10-degree milk cup being put up onto your teats. They don't like it so well. So keeping everything warm. And then the milk goes from the milk house or the milking parlor right into the milk house. And that's where we cool it, strain it, put it in jars, and get it ready to go to the customer. Well, that part of it is underway. That's going to be done by next winter. And so our process is going to be far more efficient, far easier. I mean, it's going to be one of the chores people do around here that they're going to want to do. It's inside, so when it's really cold, it's much more pleasant, and the cows generate a lot of heat, and they're pretty nice people to be around. But as far as the milk customers, I have a friend down in the Detroit area, and he got wind that Jill was dehydrating milk, and he said, "I want some." And I talked to him on the phone last weekend, and he's saying, "Oh, the dairy that we used to use, they went out of business after COVID. They went out of business because they took it real seriously, and the guy didn't want to be driving down to the Detroit area, so he just packed it in. He was an old guy." And so there's no more raw milk going down into the Detroit area, at least to this co-op. So it dissolved, but all those customers are there. And I got to thinking, wow, if we could drive down there, we could pick up all those customers, but that doesn't make any sense. We don't have a person here that we can detail to drive 3 hours down to Detroit and back. But there is somebody that does already go, and he drives that big brown truck, and his name is Mr. UPS, and he can guarantee that a insulated box with half-gallon plastic jugs, frozen, will get there overnight, even in the summertime. So me and Joe get to thinking about that, and it's like, well, would those customers down there, would they pay for the shipping? And so we're researching that, but we're finding out that milk that goes down there, that people take down there, they're asking a lot more for it because of the transport, and it's so city there that there's not any farms that are close. So we may have a process like a facet process to add on to the milking process, that once a week we'll have all of these boxes set up, and the UPS man comes. I don't even have to talk to him. He knows if there's boxes on this table, that's what you take. And they all have a shipping label on them that Jill comes up here and prints off in the office here. And as soon as she prints it off, the UPS man gets a notification somehow that he's to come to Baker's Green Acres, and he just wheels in. He doesn't even shut the truck off. He gets out. Everything's staged on the side of the truck so that he gets out. So it's very easy for him, loads it up, and just continues out the driveway, and he's gone. So we're running kind of a test with that. I mean, the idea has come up before. I see Aaron's here, and last time he was here, we kind of fleshed it out a little bit. He was actually the one that says that he would he freezes milk, but then the thawing part of it is a little tedious, because with a gallon, you'll have a solid chunk of water on the inside, and you got to wait until it completely thaws, or the milk is, it's not mixed properly. It's not You can still drink it and it's still good, still better than having nothing. But, in the half gallon, it works really well. So, yeah, we had that idea, and me and Jill were down in the shop today, and we were talking about it back and forth, and it just got really exciting to think that that could be something we could easily add on to what we're already doing. And because I'm not saying this is a solid goal for me, but if we were milking 10 cows and that milk was leaving, we would do really well with that. If you do the math on it, I can help you with that. And I don't mind talking about this. The Copperhead people don't like me talking about it, but it's a big state and there's a lot of people drinking milk. I tell you who doesn't like us talking about it is the milk cartel. They don't like that. They don't want a bunch of small dairies coming in and mooching off of them. The heck with it. I'm not going to do the math on it right now. Well, why not? I guess I could. Okay, so milk at the store. Does anybody know what that is now? Has anybody bought milk at the store lately, a jug of milk? That would be a good thing for somebody to write in the comments here. But the number we use is, sometimes I use 2.5, sometimes I use 3. So let me go 2.75. 2 3/4 gallons per day per cow. Now, when a cow first freshens, like a big Holstein, she's going to give 6. And even my little Ruby, she's given us 5. She just had a calf about a month ago. She's given us 5, and she'll do that for a long time. So 2.75, I don't know. That's pretty unrealistic. Let's go with 3.25. Let's just go with that. And then, when they start, they're going to be heavy on milk, but then towards the end of their lactation, they're going to be light on milk. But they do milk for a solid, 9 months. You milk them for a solid 9 months, and then you dry them up so that they can put more energy into the development of that calf. And for, their cycle is 9 months. Oh, wait a minute. We don't milk them for 9 months. We milk them for about 7 months, right? And we'll dry them off for 2 months, right? 2 months. So if you're milking 10 cows, you would usually have maybe 12, and there'd be one in that is in some phase of not milking, she's dried off. So 3.25 times 10, maybe 32.5 per day, times 7, 227 gallons, 0.5, 220, let's just say 228 gallons. Okay, and wait a minute. We sell that for $10. Okay, did I do that right? Let me start over again. So let's 3.25. Yeah, I did it right. Times 10 cows times 7 days. Okay. At the price of the milk is about $10. So per week, we're turning about that. I'd say it'd be closer to 3,000, I would say. Okay. So weeks in a year. Okay. There we go. 118 grand. Now you have to take off of that your feed, right? Your electricity, your milk jars, your labor, and you can do that without me kind of having them itemize things. And we can talk about that on the consulting call on Wednesday night. That's not information that I really want to go into here. But you can see that it is a going concern. So if milking 10 cows was the centerpiece of your farm, everything that you do could be channeled towards that operation to make that operation run smoother, right? So in my case, this farm is got grassland on it, or hay ground, they call it. So I'm cutting hay. And I cut hay because that's what the cows eat. So I want to be concerned with the health of the fields that grow that hay. Now, there are other farms that don't have the hay acreage. I know of a farm right now that has about 5 acres, but they've got a real nice house, real nice barn. It's just that the land was sold off to another farm, and it doesn't look like they're going to get it back anytime soon. But do you really need hay ground when you could get by with a pickup truck and a trailer to go and buy hay? Hay is not all that expensive. It never does get all that expensive. We have a tendency of, we had a dry year last year, so we see hay, 1,000-pound bales being sold for $100, and guys are like, "Wow, hay is really, it's out of sight." 1,000 pounds for $100? That's cheap. That is really cheap. And a person, you only feed a milk cow about 30 pounds of dry hay a day. That's about it. And she'll give you far more manure back. So it's not like you're feeding it to them and not getting anything out of it. You're getting all that manure back. So you can really go to town with composting and other things. So acreage is not a must. It's not a must at all. As a matter of fact, let's say that dad works off farm. If they had hay ground, who's going to cut the hay? Oh, he'll do it on Saturday. Really? You'd like to think so, but it takes more time than that. And, every Saturday is going to be rainy. That's the way it'll work. So, in a lot of ways, it's kind of better to not have hay ground, because you can depend on your ability to find round bales. You can. I can go on Facebook Marketplace right now and find them. I called a guy, and he's in the next county over, and he says, "How many do you want?" And he sold them to me. He was selling them by the ton, and $100 a ton. $100 a ton. So he brought me these dandy little bales that are so heavy I can hardly lift them with my loader. And it turned out to be about $65 a bale. So it was really cheap. And I did that because I didn't have a good hay year last year. And I just wanted to have a little cushion, and I could have put it in the diesel tank. I could have put it in the gas tank. I could have put it in firewood. And we decided, here's a good deal on hay. And the first time the guy came, I really hit it off with him. And he's interested in milking cows too. He grew up milking cows, and he's like, "Wait a minute, you can do this?" And I explained to him how you do it. And it takes a little while to understand it and to have the confidence to go ahead and do it, because everybody's afraid of the man, right? Which I don't know why we're afraid of them, because they don't come and throw you against the wall and beat you. They usually send you little dirty letters, threaten you with things, But anyway, okay, cool. Little business going on here. Keith is asking the Barn Geek to give him a call. Sounds like business to me there, Barn Geek. All right, so we want to talk about the basics tonight. I want to talk about the basics because what I did today was I milked, and then I had some things to clean up around here, some conversation with my wife, and then I went right back to biochar, making biochar. I ran out. We sold everything we had and used up everything we had. And so I need to get busy burning my retort and making the biochar. So I burned one day last week, 2 days last week, and then last night, and then I got a burn going right now. And so then we grind that up and get it bagged up to put in the store. We'll put it in our store, have a nice little label that goes on it. And most of the people that are buying it right now are buying the grade that we make for chickens, which makes a lot of sense. If you live around here, you're going to struggle with coccidiosis. It's in the soil here. So, that's what I was doing. And as I'm doing it, I'm thinking, okay, what would I do? What do I want to do this summer that needs to be done, that really needs to be done, that's going to give me a kick 2 years from now? Like I get this one thing. I want to expand our pond. I want to put an irrigation pump down there and then start pushing water around the farm. Do I need to? No, it's just kind of a pet project. And I think it would be really cool to just see the sprinklers going on real hot evenings, and I would like to have some of you have seen the pond that we have, and it's probably 30 feet across, 30 by 30 or 40 by 40, not very big, and only about 6 feet deep. But the water does run out of it. So there's a supply going in. I want to expand that so it's somewhere around an acre. And so we have a lot of water that we're accumulating. So when I do run the pump, I don't run it down too quick, and there's a lot to be said about that when we start talking soil fertility. So this pond, when we first put it in, it was because we were going to be produce farmers. We were going to grow produce and take that produce to the farmer's market and sell it. That was the idea that I had. Oh, this would be great. Until you take some produce to the farmer's market and you find out that the Amish guy next to you, he can do it cheaper. So you've got zucchinis that nobody wants, but he's got them cheaper that nobody wants, So you're doing all this hard work, loading up all this produce. You take it to the farmer's market and you bring it home. And then we were raising pigs at the time, and we were finding that it winds up going to the pigs. A lot of it, a lot of it does. So we just kind of shortened the supply chain a little bit and reconfigured the field so that we can grow stuff on there. I grow a lot of stuff, and I love doing that. And I take off what I want, and then I let the pigs have the rest. So usually, the field peas will come in. We'll go out and pick as many as we want, and we're not going to can them that time of the year. So we eat them, eat a lot of them, and then we open the gate, let the pigs in, and they take care of them. Or what else do? We do daikon radishes. Daikon radishes grow like crazy in the soil up here, and we take out what we want of them. I eat. If I could go between taking an apple off the tree and pulling a daikon radish out, even if it's a really big one, and then I'd cut a section out of it like this, and then skin it, and then break it down into these just solid chunks of daikon radish. So good. And it's usually cool because the soil's cool. And it's just sweet, and it's got that flavor. It's just out of this world. So I love doing that. I love growing in there. But I'm not interested in doing. I shouldn't say this, especially with Covey here. If we had personnel, right? We're going to do this intern program this year. Let's say we have people and they need something to finish out their day. I think it would be a great skill for them to pick up produce farming. Produce farming, sometimes they call it truck gardening. It's where you have row crops, and you're tending them by hand because you don't have enough area to mechanize the whole thing. There are machines that you could plant daikon radishes in a row, and then you could spray them so you don't get any insects on them, and then you could have a harvester that would go down and pick them, and then you got a truckload of them, and then you sell it to a broker, and you're doing big business, right? You could do that. We're not interested in doing that. If we were to do them, something like that, like truck gardening, and let's say we had a 100 by 100 that we're going to truck garden in, then when someone needs something to do, it's like, well, hand them a hoe and say, go to it. You're just going to be knocking weeds down in the rows. And then when the time is right, we'll give you a fork to go out there and harvest them, put them in a wheelbarrow, bring them up to the shop. Let's get them washed off, and then we'll put them on the shelf in the store. And if our milk customers come in and they want some hamburger and some daikon radishes or turnips or a pumpkin or whatever, they can take it. But I am not interested in loading all this stuff into a pickup, taking it into town, setting it all up on tables, and then hoping that some Amish guy doesn't come in and do it cheaper, which he probably will. That's how they do it. We can do it cheaper. They you know what they should do? They should start up. We got them here. Don't get me wrong. People think I don't like goats or Amish. That's not true. I like them both. And no buts. They're just very different than the way we do things. Very different. And there's some things that kind of irritate me about that, but I don't dislike them. I like hanging around with them. They're fun to talk with, and they laugh easy, and they've got good jokes, and they're just regular people, and they're innovative too. They're really innovative. But some of the things kind of irritate me, like that, like stealing your market and things like that, kind of irritate me. But overall, I'm not a Amish disliker. I would say in this community, some of the best friends that I have are Amish. Really, they're the ones that I would talk to the most. So don't be saying I don't like Amish or goats. I love goats, right? I have two very, very nice goats, very well behaved, emotional support goats is what they are. Somebody wanted to buy them off me. I think it was Keith Sutton wanted to buy them. You don't have enough money, son. You don't have enough money. Those things are invaluable to me. So what I think we want to talk about is soils, and why are soils such an important subject? Why is that? If you're going to live on your homestead, you want to live in a healthy environment. So if you've been raising livestock for any length of time, which I have now, I've been in it it's going to be 20 years this summer, May, when I retired from the Air Force and started this. Of course, I didn't know much when I first started. I've gained a lot of knowledge over the years doing this. And if I had known then what I know now, I would have focused on soil health right now. I remember going to a small farms conference, and there was a couple there, husband and wife. She was wearing regular clothes. He was dressed like an Amish guy. So I don't know what the story was, but they were from Pennsylvania, and they were row crop farmers. And I listened to their presentation about soil fertility, and it was going over my head. It really was, because I thought fertility came from fertilizer. And I was asking, well, I've got these two fields that are just like, they look like old baseball fields, they're just brown and they have lichen on them and cactuses and stuff. The cows don't even want to go out there. Nobody wants to go out there, especially in bare feet. You don't want to go out there. What do I do? And I remember I spoke with her after the class, and what I drew from that was, you want to get into composting. Oh, I says. So in my mind, I thought, okay, well, the cows that I have, they're in a pretty big area. And when they manure, so I guess I got to start collecting that, is what I thought at the time. Gee, that seems like it's going to be kind of tedious. But okay, if that's what it takes. And then this field is like 10 acres. It's like 8.9 acres. will I ever get enough to really get any kind of coverage out there? Okay, so that was a real question mark in my mind. Like I needed a solution for that. And as life went on, one of my Amish friends said, "Hey, you got a big truck. Can you haul some of this manure out of here for us?" And I said, what do you got in mind? And he says, it first started off that they would pay me per truckload to get it out of there because they had so much manure. Like they have a feed lot and they're feeding calves, Holstein calves. And so they're buying hay and just walking it to them, and grain and just walking it to them. So these calves are creating a ton of manure. They are buying bedding to put into it's in barns too. You don't see the calves when you go by. So it's all indoors. And, they're really heavy into antibiotic and steroids and all that stuff. Not good. It doesn't even smell good over there. But the manure was mixed with the bedding. They had a massive pile. And the first couple of days that I was hauling it out of there, you couldn't even tell that I hauled any out of there. It was so big. And then I sensed that he was like, "You're being awful willing to do this." And I said, "Tell you what, you know what I'm going to do with this? I'm going to make compost out of it." And he's, "Compost?" You'd think that they would know what that is, but in their mind, a compost is a little compost pile that is by mom's garden, that the stuff from the house goes in and you just turn it once in a while and then you put it on the garden. They'd never thought about this massive amount, these truckloads, 10 yards at a time, bringing it here. And, he just kept loading me and I kept going back and forth. And I made these windrows of loads of manure that I pushed together into a big long row. And then I would turn them once in a while and the whole place would be steamy and everything. And it took about a year to break them down completely. And in that time, I got the bright idea that I think I'll go around collecting up dead cows. And then it was kind of a dumb idea, but I wound up putting those dead cows in there too. After we spun them, we were going to skin them and sell hides. And I had this great idea that, we'll have a building and we'll be cow skinners. I don't know what I was thinking because it's a gross job. But that first couple of years here were a little on the tight side because we didn't know what to do. If we followed the lead of the people around here, well, we would be milking 250 cows, but I don't have a barn to do that in. Well, build one. You'll only go into debt $1 million. Okay, then what? Will I ever pay it back at 44 cents a gallon? No, you won't. But that's big ag. That's the way it is. You just run up the debt. At least you'll have a nice pickup truck, right? So I don't know. I could never walk into that trap. At least not enough days in a row to make it happen. I couldn't do it. So I got all that compost and then we finally spread that on the field. There was 2 fields that we spread it on. And to this day, those fields, the depth of the soil is increasing every year. Right? I don't monitor it closely, but every now and then I will do a little digging out there with a shovel just to see. It used to be sand with just a skiff of loam on top of it, and it wasn't much, and not much would wanted to grow consistently in it. But now it's quite thick. It's about 3-4 inches, and I've got good growth of grass out there, and we do graze the cows out there. And when your fertility is coming up, when the grass that grows out there creates a web that when the cows step on it, they don't just break it open. They don't just break it open. They can walk on it. They don't do damage to it. It becomes resilient. See, the cows are made for the grass and the grass is made for the cows. But in our environment, some places the grass doesn't grow because it's like it might be a knob and it dries out and doesn't get enough rain and it gets worn out, maybe because the cows like to lay up on it or something. And you just can't get fertility going. If you took the best fertilizer there is out to the dunes and spread it, it's not going to work. What you need to have is soil, and soil is different. There is sand in soil, but they are not the same. Sand is silica, and it's kind of inert, right? Soil is organic material that has decomposed, that has been decomposed. And then when more falls on it, then that decomposes, and the layer of soil gets a little thicker. So you have these microorganisms that live out there. Two of them that are my favorite to talk about is protozoa and bacteria. Protozoa is like a barracuda, and the bacteria is like mackerel, and the barracuda grab them and eat them. And so the protozoa grabs the bacteria, eats it, and manures it out, right? And that manure becomes the basis for our soil. That's a little that's simplified. I won't say it's oversimplified because that does happen, but then there's other things that happen too. But anyway, you need life out there in that field. And for us to know all the intricacies of it that are probably in textbooks is not, it's not completely necessary. It would probably be smarter to learn how to make compost on a large enough level for the land that you want to cover, and figure out a way to spread it. Now, we've spread it before by filling the back of the 2-ton, my big truck, 10 yards. I'd put about 6 yards in there and then put up 2 boys on the back of it with shovels. And then I would sit in the front because I drive, they don't drive. And I would sit in the front behind the driver's side, in the driver's position, and I would drive very slowly, and they would be shoveling it out the back. You see my kids now, they're really buff. So I was killing 2 birds with 1 stone. But then I built a spreader, and it's not as good as it could be. It's, I could get a better one, and I plan to at some point when I see it, when it comes available. But the spreader that I have, I can put a ton. I can put a yard of compost in, and I can make it down the field and back, and then I have to fill it again. So if I have 2 tractors that I'm using, one, the loader tractor, and the other one, just my 2020, I can spread a lot. And last fall, I spread, I don't remember now. I think it was 40 yards, 40 or 50 yards up there. And we saw an immediate change in that. Now, it wasn't just compost. I had biochar in it as well. And as I said in the video that I made yesterday, I think biochar is, by itself, I think if you had nothing but biochar, I don't think that that's really the way you want to go. I think you want to do compost first and then add biochar to it, right? Because composting takes a little bit longer to do. And you could build up a huge supply of biochar, but putting this into the soil by itself is, I don't know as you're going to get as the same bang that you would if you put it in compost. Because what you're doing, your compost is full of microbiological organisms, just full of it. So you'll notice when you go out to your compost pile, if your compost pile is being managed properly and you break it open, you get some steam come out. And that's the heat that's going on in there. And that's the heat that they generate when they are decomposing. All that bacterial action is eating the organic material that you've put into it. And that organic material is manure, wood chips, leaves, anything that's carbon based you can put in it. You can put feathers, chicken guts. I don't put chicken guts in because I feed them to the pigs. Outhouse, outhouse refuse. Um, you can, when you're composting, it's sort of like scrounging in a way. If you're a composter and you see something that somebody is throwing away, you'll lick your chops when you see it. So around here, mostly in town, like in Cadillac, Home Depot sells bags that you can put yard waste in. I don't know what they get for the bags, but I know they can't be giving them away. But it says Home Depot on it. So you stuff it full of yard waste, and then they put them out by the road. And then the city trucks come along, and they throw it all in the truck, and then it goes to the landfill. Kind of a waste, really. But when you see that somebody has bagged up all that yard waste, leaves, grass clippings, twigs, all that stuff. Hopefully there's no trash in it. You can just throw it on a trailer and bring it home and put it in your compost pile. If you live near any woods, you can go out there with a rake and rake up a pile of leaves in no time and bring that back, put it in your compost pile. Wood chips. If you have a chipper shredder and you want to, if you've got some saplings that need to come out of your hayfield, you cut them out and run them through a chipper shredder right into the compost pile. Because your compost pile has little people in there that need to eat. And so you're feeding them. Rotten hay, hay that's been left out and it goes bad, that can go in the compost pile. Straw, stuff from the house can go in there. Restaurant slop can go in there. You get the picture. But then that bacterial action, when you add biochar to it, biochar will protect that bacterial life, that microbiological life. It helps to protect it because this will hold a lot of water. And so once we crush this up and put it in compost, all that microbiological life moves into it like it's an apartment complex for illegals. They just move right in. They'll have so many bacteria in each little apartment. They'll be overrun, right? And then once you spread that out on your field, your bacteria will move from there. They'll move out of here and they go looking for food. They'll run out of what they have and then they go looking. So when there's organic material out there on the field, now you're adding bacteria to it that's going to take it down even further. So what I did was once we got our fields so they were resilient, now I graze the cattle up on there. And that adds to this whole thing too. The cows, manure, and it becomes this little ecosystem. There's two trains of thought that I've encountered. One is that little cow flop is a complete ecosystem. If you pull it open, there's all kinds of little things that live in there, worms and flies and all kinds of stuff. Well, one side of the house says, oh, that's where you want to let your chickens out there. And they'll pull that all apart, spread it out, and they'll eat the worms out of it. And so the chickens will be living off of it. And I get that. That sounds good to me. The problem that I have with that is you have to manage those chickens every single day, a couple times a day. And so that means you've got to have nets out there to keep them from getting out. And to me, when we did it, it was just a hassle. And whenever you got nets and cattle, oh no, I don't want to do that. And I suppose if you can keep them separate, then it can work. The 2 times that I attempted it, it didn't work for me. And it was more headache than it was worth. So my chickens are in a chicken area that's secured with a 6-foot fence. Generally, they can't get out of it. unless their wings come back. And then we'll pick them up at night and trim their wings so they can't get out. We can bring all kinds of stuff to them instead of bringing the chickens to the. And I know that goes against, what I preach about. Like, I don't want to cut hay and put it in my barn just so I can bring it to my cows. I will let my cows go out to the field. They will eat, they will self-harvest, and then they will manure the fields, right? I think that is worth it, where I don't feel as though the chicken thing is worth it. And here is why. You're always going to get one or two chickens that figure out how to get away. And what do? They don't want to go be with the rest of the chickens. They want to go be with my toolbox in the barn, or they want to go. Let's sit up on the desk in the office. This is a good place to lay an egg or poop. And you wind up, with two of them out. Oh, I'm going to get them tonight, but then you forget. And the next morning, it's like, oh, those stupid things. Now they're in with the tomatoes, those stupid chickens. You start hating them. So I would rather have them in a locked up place that's tight, that they can't get out of, that's big. I put a lot of effort into building my chicken area because they do a lot for me. They really do. They break down all kinds of stuff. I think I showed in the video today. Quite profound, really, when you think about it. I had a rib cage. It was rib cage from the bull that we processed in the wintertime. Massive rib cage. And we took off of it what we wanted. You could spend a lot of time going in between the ribs and getting those strips out on the back of them. Then you have to strip them because they have skin on the inside. We didn't have surplus of personnel to do that. For what you're getting out of it, it was better for us to just cut them into pieces that were small enough and put them out in the loader bucket. Now, they're not going to go to waste, for sure. I'm not going to just stick them in the compost pile. Number one, because it was December and the compost pile is closing down by then. So in the spring, I would have a bunch of bones in the compost pile. So I don't want to do that because they don't spread real good. But what I can do with that is put it in with the chickens. And so I did. Filled up the loader with that, took it over there, dumped it in with the chickens. The chickens freak out. Whoa. Beef. We love beef, right? They're little omnivores. So they go out there and they spend day after day after day after day just going out and chowing down on the meat that's left on those rib cages, right? So that means they eat less chicken feed. And they're cleaning off those bones. And if you saw the video that I made yesterday, I took those bones out of there because they're stripped. They're stripped. Everything's gone off of them. Those chickens are meticulous stripping those things off. And I brought them over to the biochar area, cut them up with a skill saw, let them sit out and kind of dry off a little bit in the sun. And then I put them in the retort and biocharred them. So Endeavor will always be with us. He's not gone. He's still here. And so, but the chickens did a lot for me. So I'm not saying that chickens are to be trifled with, and just let the little kids do it. But they can do a lot of damage. They can get in the garden. They seem to do a lot of digging if you don't keep a handle on them. And the way that I'm doing, speaking of fertility, the way that I'm doing chickens now is I have 2 big pens and I move them back and forth, and I plan on having a third, right? That's coming. So, okay, I have a commitment tonight, so I can't go much longer. I can go like maybe another 10 minutes. And I thought, why not, if you have any questions, let's see if I can do this without a mouse. Don't know if I can. Oh yeah, I can. All right. Why not we have a little question that you might have about fertility? Why not add that to the comments, and I'll see if I can help you. TB's with us, Keith S. Barn Geek. Keith S. Okay. If you guys have any questions, if not, I think we're going to knock off early tonight because I do have something I have to do. It's quite important. My wife is making me a steak, and then I have to have a little conference with her about the direction that we're going. All good, all good. I really need your guys' help in spreading the word. Thanks, Aaron. On the intern program. We don't have any solid commitments yet except for Covey. And I would like to get that wrapped up by, about April 15th. I'd like to have that wrapped up and know who's coming. So I will need your help spreading the word. Also, well, I didn't get into that subject, so I think I'll leave that alone because that's a long subject. There is no consulting call this week. We had it last week, so we're off tomorrow night. Keep in mind, anyone can farm. Tribe Plus is going strong. Now that is a little bit more of an advanced group. I guess I will broach this a little bit. Making videos is a joy to me. When I'm doing something that I'm passionate about and I make a video and I know I'm sharing it with a bunch of people that see it and they get a little joy out of it, there's like an energy. I really like doing that. The Tribe Plus videos are going to be more like, okay, this is how we do this. And I know I'm speaking to a small group of people, relatively small group of people. And it's not just show and tell, oh, look what I built. Okay, the Tribe Plus videos are, okay, this is how you build this. This is the thickness of this. This is the bolts that you use. And I'm not saying this is the way it's done. I'm saying here's the one that I did. So the videos that I make that are kind of off the cuff, look at this retort burning. Look at how cool this is. I just made one, by the way. Those are fun, but it's like, oh yeah, that is cool. But you get to see this guy really does that. He's not just saying, do that and maybe buy gold, from my friends over at Gold Plus or whatever, this is really what I do, and I'm all about sharing it. And the Tribe Plus is a mechanism to where we can bear down. And I have the list of who's on there, so I know who I'm talking to. And if you're not getting the notifications, we need to know about that, because I think I've put out like 10 or 15 videos so far that I think are good. I'm getting better at it. I'm used to the old model where it's just show and tell, and I need to get more into the nuts and bolts of why we did it, how we did it, how it fits in with the big picture. Because I'm hoping that people are listening to this and they're saying, okay, I can implement that, or whatever, it spurs them on to go further with their own homesteads. That's what I want to see. We are going to do Tribe Day this year. It was a complete success last year. It was a little stressful, but it was bigger than any one that we've done. And we did have bad weather, and the barbecue kind of caught on fire. That was my responsibility. I should have delegated out more responsibility. We had enough people to do it. It's just that nobody can barbecue as good as I can. So we kind of ran out of barbecued pork. But this year we'll be on top of that. And this year we should have one cabin up and running. I think it's already rented out to the DeCleric Homestead. But I would like to build another one during that time. I would like to. Don't know if it's going to work out. Last year, because of the weather and because of the location, I thought there'd be more people that would be helping. But, there was too much other things going on, and I was wrong about that. There is going to be 2 levels of participation in Tribe Day this year. For Tribe Plus members, it's going to be a breeze for you. It's very inexpensive. But for non-Tribe Plus members, it's going to be more expensive because we're not looking at expanding Tribe Day to 1 million people. We really want to keep it at a manageable level. And last year was about right, I think. So another thing that's coming up on May 5th or May 4th. Let's see. Yeah, May 4th, Saturday, is going to be Seed Day, Seed Savers Day, or Seedling Day, we're going to call it now, because we were doing it in April, but seedlings, it's still cold in April. So in May, people can bring all the seedlings that they want. If you want to grow stuff in your greenhouse and bring it here and pay a nominal fee to be a vendor, I think Jill was saying it's like $20 for the day. You can set up a tent, a booth, whatever you want, wherever you want, and sell your seedlings. I think that's going to be really helpful. Saving seeds is very, very important. And I'm not coming at that from, they're going to take them away and we'll all starve. Every year that you save them in your biosphere where you live, those seeds get a little bit more adaptive to the environment that you're in, and they get better. They are designed to get better in time. When we buy seeds from, Burpee or whoever, that's the bottom of the barrel seed. You're not getting the good stuff. And it's not even from your biosphere. Who knows where it's from? Who knows how old they are? What do you think? Oh, these are 2024 seeds. We can't sell them. And, no, they don't. They'll just, it's not that legit. But if you are saving them and you have a good program, hey, you can be a major benefit to the people in this community. That's something that Keith could do, because he's a whiz at growing stuff, but he's got systems that he put together for growing stuff that worked out really well. Hey, Keith, you ought to come to that and set your system up. Actually, the system that I have, we should set that up so you can explain how that works. It's here. I never did get it set up last year. Of course, that was midsummer, right? All right, let's call it a day. I appreciate everybody coming by. And remember, anyone can farm. Get out there and make it happen. All right, and we'll see you next week. Stay tuned for videos this week. I'm doing a lot of interesting things, so I feel like I'm feeling talkative too, All right, we'll see you.